All right, welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's dive right into this because today we're looking at something absolutely foundational. We're going to be exploring the ancient wisdom found in chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, you might be thinking, what does an ancient text have to do with my super busy, fast-paced modern life? Well, actually, the concepts we're unpacking today, specifically about the real meaning of karma yoga, are incredibly practical, like game-changing practical. They offer a total paradigm shift in how we approach our daily actions, our careers, and even our relationships. We'll be using these highly structured insights from the source material to guide us, making sure every concept is crystal clear. So get comfortable, focus in, and let's jump straight into this timeless wisdom.
So take a second and just ask yourself, how does a seeker truly realize the self? It's a big question, right? It's not just some casual philosophical thought experiment. This is literally the core inquiry driving the entire narrative of the Bhagavad Gita. When you strip away all the daily distractions, the endless to-do lists, and all the noise of our daily lives, this is the fundamental question left standing. What does it actually mean to be fully realized? How do we connect with our deepest, truest nature? It's heavy, for sure. But in chapter 13, Lord Krishna doesn't just leave us guessing. He provides a highly structured roadmap for this exact spiritual quest. This question is going to anchor everything we discuss in this explainer today.
And the definitive answer to that deep human longing? It's self-realization. This is the primary objective identified by Lord Krishna in chapter 13. And it's framed not just as some lofty, impossible ideal, but as the actual, tangible solution to our spiritual quest. Basically, self-realization is about waking up from the illusion of our daily anxieties and finally recognizing our true, unchanging nature. Every single teaching, every discipline, and every piece of wisdom in the Gita points straight toward this one monumental goal. But, knowing the destination is only half the battle. The next logical question is, okay, how do we actually get there? What are the practical vehicles that take a seeker from a state of total confusion to absolute self-realization? Now, what's really interesting here is how the source material answers that exact question. The Gita breaks the journey down into 3 perfectly equal paths. We've got Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Karma Yoga, each making up an equal third of a complete spiritual journey. There's no strict hierarchy here. It's not like one path is the VIP route or somehow more holy than the others. Instead, they're presented as complementary pieces of a whole. Lord Krishna completely gets that human beings have different temperaments, right? Some of us are super analytical, some are deep contemplative thinkers, and others are just highly active. This perfectly balanced division shows that there is a valid, recognized route to self-realization for every single type of seeker. Let's break these down one by one, starting with Jnana Yoga. Simply put, this is the path of knowledge. For some seekers, the route to self-realization is paved with really deep intellectual understanding. But to be clear, this isn't just about reading a ton of books or memorizing random facts. In this context, knowledge means the rigorous, analytical pursuit of the ultimate truth. It's using your intellect to figure out what's real versus what's just an illusion, what's eternal versus what's temporary. A practitioner of Jnana Yoga uses intense philosophical inquiry to just cut right through ignorance. If you're the kind of person who naturally questions the nature of reality and loves to deconstruct concepts until you hit the core truth, well, Chapter 13 identifies this path perfectly for your specific temperament. But hey, what if you aren't really driven by all that intellectual analysis? That brings us to our second path, Dhyana Yoga, the path of meditation. If Jnana Yoga is the outward, analytical search for truth, Dhyana Yoga is the intensely inward, focused route. This is for the seeker who finds realization through stillness, deep concentration, and unbroken meditation. You're basically withdrawing your senses from the constant, non-stop stimulation of the outside world and focusing your mind entirely on the divine presence within. The whole goal here is to quiet those turbulent waves of thought so your true self can reflect perfectly in a calm mind. It's a beautifully simple concept, but honestly, as anyone who has ever tried to sit and meditate knows, it takes immense discipline to actually master. And that brings us to the third piece of this balanced puzzle, Karma Yoga, which literally translates to the path of action. Now, I really want you to pay close attention here, because this is where we're going to spend the rest of our time today. We're laying the groundwork right now. On the surface, the path of action seems super straightforward. I mean, we all act, right? We go to work, we handle our responsibilities, we make 100 decisions every single day. For the active, engaged person who can't just go retreat to a cave to meditate, Karma Yoga offers a way to turn every single everyday action into a spiritual practice. But before we get too comfortable with that basic definition, we need to completely deconstruct our modern understanding of what this actually entails. I actually want to pause and pivot sharply right here. What is the real meaning of Karma Yoga?
Because let's be honest, in today's pop culture, the word karma gets thrown around constantly. We usually hear it used as this sort of cosmic point system, like you do something good and the universe magically rewards you with something good. Or people just assume karma yoga means volunteering on weekends or just doing things to be a nice person. But the source material from the Bhagavad Gita presents something so much deeper, way more radical, and frankly, a lot more challenging than just doing good deeds. If we're really going to understand how action leads to ultimate self-realization, we have to shatter this massive misconception that karma is just about ticking off a checklist of obligations.
Let's see how this builds, because the source text clarifies this perfectly. Karma yoga goes far beyond mere duty. This is a massive narrowing of our conceptual funnel. Think about it. So often, we act simply because we feel we have to. We act out of societal obligation, pressure from our families, or just this rigid sense of moral duty. We clock in, do the work, clock out, and feel justified because we did what was required of us. But Lord Krishna makes it explicitly clear that true karma yoga is not just acting because you have an obligation. Actually, acting out of mere duty usually just breeds resentment, fatigue, and this feeling of being totally trapped by our responsibilities. True karma yoga is meant to be a tool for liberation, not just a heavier chain of obligation.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact boundary we're talking about. On one hand, you have mere duty, acting because you have to or because you're expecting a very specific reward. Honestly, this is how most of the world operates. We work to get a paycheck, we do favors hoping for praise, we act to achieve a specific outcome. But on the flip side, we have the true spiritual practice described in the Gita, nishkama karma, acting while renouncing the fruits. Notice the stark cognitive boundary here. The physical action, it might look exactly the same. You could be doing the exact same job on the outside, but your internal operating system is completely different. One mindset keeps you bound by the world, while the other becomes an actual vehicle for self-realization.
Let's really slow our pacing down for a second, because this is arguably the most profound concept of the entire explainer. Renunciation of fruits means acting purely without expectation of a specific outcome or reward. So the crucial point is that the absolute essence of nishkama karma requires us to completely let go of the expectations tied to our actions. The fruits are the results, the money, the recognition, the success, or, even the failure. The Gita teaches that you have a right to the work itself, but you do not have a right to the fruits of that work. It's about pouring 100% of your energy, your excellence, and your devotion into the action in the present moment, and then entirely surrendering the results to the universe. When you do that, you're no longer held hostage by whether things go your way or not. You are finally free. I want to leave you with this final, highly provocative question. If you act today without expecting any reward, how will that change your reality? Just think about the sheer amount of anxiety that would disappear if you simply stopped worrying about the outcome. Think about the incredible laser-like focus you could bring to your tasks right now if you were completely unattached to the praise or the profit. The teachings of Chapter 13 show us that whether you choose the path of knowledge, the path of meditation, or the path of action, the ultimate goal is absolute freedom. Nishkama karma is an invitation to transform your everyday life into a masterpiece of unburdened, joyous action. So take this question with you as we wrap up this explainer and see how applying this timeless wisdom can radically shift the way you walk through the world. Thanks so much for learning with me today.